This tzich is the Rebbe himself wrote it. It's not
pictures.
Huh? There's minus. There's what's it? Picture of Xavier. Oh, okay. Huh? No. I remember hearing it. No, see now. I remember hearing it.
Also the article.
Weiß the Pnim doesn't hear it. That's the Xaviat can sein. But the meiste is that the Musik of Hadran and HaRambam, basically there's Makeres before for the Musik of Hadran and HaRambam. Basically, let's see what the Rebbe says here. Hadran al Asfos Asim Sefer Mishneh Torah Ayad HaChazak al HaRambam. Sefer Mishneh Torah shel HaRambam K'mishkosa B'Akdamasi. It's a Mekabes the Torah Shebal Peh Kula. Im Atakonis v'Amenhogis v'Agzim Torah Shebal Peh heißt es the Raisa side the Rambam says himself Mishneh Torah is after he learns Torah Shebiksav, so he's bringing the entire kibbutz of the entire Torah Shebal Peh. Torah Shebal Peh heißt es the Dinim Dei Raisa. Sai Yanam Avlachal Meshim Sinai, Sai all the Pirushim, the Gimel Shater Drashes, and that's Torah Shebal Peh. B'Neisel Lezeh at Akonis v'Amenhogis v'Agzeres. It's also nichlal in Torah Shebal Peh. And the Sefer Ayad. There is another one that the Rambam Hilchas Mamre, when he brings it, I remember exactly what the Lashon there. The Seder of Takonis Menhagas and Gzeris, there's a difference between the way he writes it here in the Akadama to the way he brings it in the Hilchas Mamre. Which that's the entire Torah Shebal Peh. The Rambam brings later that the Takonis that were made later don't have the same takeif as the Takonis and the Menhagas and the Gzeris that are mentioned in the Gemara. So it's a ligat of the entire Torah Shebal Peh. So moving is Kikmeish B'Shas. There's a shaykhs v'kishet asiyim v'aschol. There's the kesher between the siyim of the Masech, the siyim hashas, the siyim hateiru, the aschol hateiru. There's a kesher between them. So there is the Rambam. It's not only a likut of all the dinei hateiru, but it's not stam mitzvah machta likut. We're talking about a sefer in Torah, which in Yoni is a kibbutz of Torah Shebal Peh, so it has the same gedarim, has the same tchunis as the Torah Shebal Peh. So in Meile there in Torah bechlad the shaykhs v'kishet asiyim v'aschol. One of the Hadran the Pashtus means that we're going to chazer over the Masechta, but the minig the word Hadran means that there's a minig that b'shas me'endik the Masechta or b'shas m'sayim shas. So there's a minig l'kasher, and the minig is miyused v'asa tagad v'akasher leibich l'chudud levad v'keis is it. So al derech zeh gam b'mishneh Torah shel HaRambam shemikabes Torah Shebal Peh kula chulu. It's nacham. It's not stam a likut of dinim, but it's the kibbutz of the entire Torah Shebal Peh. I mean, Tosim Shel Dvarim. So there is a dir. Siyumi Shel HaSefer. As Chalasei yesh kesher b'neim v'shayachim zel lezeh. That's the answer. As in the order four, so there is get every single chelik in Rambam, every halachis, there like every mesechta. This is einzach. Kesher v'shayachim siyam hasefer mishneh Torah as Chalasei ugali ubeilit. When it comes to the Rambam, so the kesher from the siyam and the Chalasei, when you get the shas. Siyam HaShas, it's not necessarily Beilit, the first the Mishnah in Shas Retzach wegen Zman Krishma, and the Siyam HaShas Retzach and andere. It's not the same meaning. There's a remes, and there's a kesher between the Aschala and the Siyam. When it comes to the Siyam of Sefer Mishneh Torah, so the kesher from the Siyam to the Aschala is Gali or Beilit. Miret wegen derselbe Zach. Was betchilas the Sefer Kesef HaRambam, the mitzvah of Leida Shesh HaMatzir Rishon, Yidiyas Hashem. And there was Medayik, and also at the end he speaks when he gets to the name of Hashem. There was Medayik. The lashon in the beginning of the Rambam is Leida Shesh HaMatzir Rishon. Hainu Shachiv Leirek Lahamin B'Hashem. Elo Leida B'Yidiyas Sichlis. I can tell you exactly what Yidiyas Sichlis means in the Sich of in the Hadran of I think the Hadran Tashmim Ches. That if Yidiyas Sichlis means Rayis V'Yichochis to the Mitzvahs Hashem, or Yidiyas Sichlis means that not necessarily Rayis V'Yichochis, but that the concept of a Lakus is a concept which Seichel could grasp. Emunah is that a person believes there's a mitzvah, there's an Eibusher which created everything, but there's no Hagdara. It doesn't have an understanding in the Ma'ila of Elokus. Dias Sichlis means to have a certain Tfisa and Asage in the Ma'ilus and Shleimus of Elokus. But that's by Kapanim, Vimus on the Shteishin, the Chiyuv is not only a Emunah which doesn't give you a description. It's not a, it's not a concept. Vesudan Eibusher on a Taish, without a description. The mitzvah is laid that Dias Sichlis, a Seichel Teki Yidiyah. Means it'll kush be nitfas and seichel. The zelbe in of Deis Hashem Yidiyas Elokus, that's also taken at Dvarim in Chasim as a sefer. It's better than Siyam Sefer Ayad. Asher Be'ez Hazman in Beis HaMashiach he came with mitzvah zu and speaking about the same mitzvah. This mitzvah Yidiyas Hashem b'shlemus, even though the Ram doesn't connect it. It doesn't say mitzvah Yidiyas Hashem, but those reted. The Teichen mitzvah is Yidiyas Hashem. Wegen dem Retter bei ACS man, das ist kein mit zu bestimmen, okay, als hier so kommen Delen, wir sehen das bei mal das ist schon kein Problem. So this, so the barbar, da fast ankommen zu Mutten zu pullen, das ist der barbar Belet, der Rambam red sei bei Scholle, sei das Sima Yad, Retter wegen der Mitte für die Hashem. Sag es alles. There is my fear that Kishur said the Sima Ser as Cholos is not only betechna klali shlom duruvem. So that's the thing the Hashem, the gambe prati in Yonov. The prati is the kinyan that Rambam speaks about is the same pratim vayfanim Yidiyas Hashem. So the same pratim which he discusses b'siyam ha-sefer, the zelba pratim retter b'tzulas ha-sefer. So that's already number 4. And don't get it in the Hadran in the Hadran. Means the etzim Indian that they're retting the zelba Indian, that's a goli ubelet. That's after shank mitzvah ganze beer. What's going to be added over here is that the kasha is not only b'techna ha-klali, but in the prati inyan. Ha-pratim vayfanim Yidiyas Hashem ha-nemarnim b'chsimas ha-sefer, which is what's the pratim that Rambam speaks about? Yidiyas dvarim ha-stumim. And then Asagas das Bernik Chacham Mikayetz more prevalent that Rambam mentions there. There's Chachamim Deilim, the different Tiyurim that Rambam speaks over there. Why is it that Be'ez says man is going to be a Yidiyah Shlema? It's because Le'yisham Le'rav, L'fich Yisrael Chachamim Deilim. So Kulam Eilim means every single prat. Eilim B'kona Echot in Prata Ve'efanav Shal Yisaydas Leida Sheyashem Matzarishin. The Yisayda Advarim from everything here Leida Sheyashem Matzarishin. The Shlemas of all these pratim, the way they're described, the Tchilas I say, for the Shlemas of these pratim are going to be B'Yemei Mashiach. V'Shigur L'Kamam B'Arichas. So the other thing is he's not stam giving a beer on the Sefer Hayad, but also the Nekuda of Hadran, that the Siyum is connected to the Aschol. Hadran al-Rambam. L'hoyer, kam b'pratim etir Eisei Azman, B'Yemei Mashiach, Sheb'Siyum Sefer Hayad, so then there's B'Yemei Nocha Prat Eistis. That's the Ein Nekuda. The B'Yemei Nocha Prat, the kam b'pratim etir Eisei Azman, Sheb'Siyum Sefer Hayad Kulei, Niskarim, Muvarim, Gam B'Uchas Shuvah. And there's Chama Shinui. The Gam Shinuim Elu Yizbaru L'feni Yizdaitim V'ich Bir the Siyum Sefer Hayad. We're going to have a better understanding in the Pratim that Rambam let b'seif Sefer Hayad durch gut verstehen das Schol of Sefer Hayad. So here, in order to understand well the Siyum, Pashat the Prati and Yanam in the Siyum, that can verstehen das Schol. It's more than a regular Hadran that we're making a kesher. We're saying for the kesher is valid, and number 2, I'm a will good verstehen the Siyum, that can verstehen das Schol. Without understanding the Schol, we have a hard time to understand the Prati Advarim that the Rambam speaks about in the Siyum, and Al Derech Zeh, the B'meil of the Shinuim, they help us Shuvah. Beer besim Sefer Hayad, Iker b'chilka kosher im hilchas Shuvah, and beer besim b'chilka shel Sefer Hayad, the kishur sim Sefer Hayad. This is Amazon. Yeah, the beginning, but we'll go through the whole thing inside. Kos v'adam b'chilka Sefer Hayad b'zel sheni. They already I'm going to learn to Hadran. Come upon. I'm learning it now. Yeah, it's also Zman Geram of the Siyum HaRambam. Kos v'adam b'chilka Sefer Hayad b'zel sheni. You say that Amud HaChachma is the foundation of all foundations and the pillar to all wisdoms. Amud HaChachma is Leida sheyesham matzirish. So wissen as Safaran, a first being, first existence. It means prior to the whole creation. There's a Metzias Rishena. For who, this Metzias Rishena, who Mamtzi kol ert als Mamtzi, when he created everything that exists. So first the Rebbe tells on what the Rambam says in the Sefer Hayad, you say that Amud HaChachma. The clause like this. It means the Etzem Zah, that Yidiyas Hashem, that the fact that Yeshem Matzah is a Yisayt for everything, that's a Dover Pasha, that's a fact. The fact is that the fact that it's an Eibushter and everything stems from him, that's the Yisayt for everything. There's no, if you don't have the Musik of Alakus, there's no Musik of Torah, there's no Musik of Mitzvahs, and there's no Musik of many things. But the Rebbe get to it. The question is, why does the Rambam bring it? Why, when he speaks about the halacha of Yidiyas Hashem, it doesn't start off mitzvah leida sheshem matzirish. The Rambam starts off the halacha that the fact that Yidiyas Hashem is a Yisayt. Why is he mentioning within the Sefer Halachas? That's the Rebbe Zachot Rebbe Yipton Rebbe. It says, Kol inyan Sefer Hayad heim halachas. Every single prat that Rambam mentions in Sefer Hayad is a halacha. Which goes back to Masal Sefer that is writing halachas. I mean, there's many yanim in Torah, there's medrash in Torah, many facts, many true facts. They're not halachas. And in yanim shanat halacha brings us in Sefer Hayad. Umizeh. Shigam ha'inin the lady sheshem matzirish who you say that I say this. Rambam doesn't say that the fact that it's an Eibishter is to say that I say this. The Rambam says the knowing that the Eibishter that Asfran Lakus, that's a Yisayt. So that means that guf is Allah. Because the Rambam lebak the Masil the Kimisifri guf Allah. So there's not only Allah to know that there's an Eibishter. There's Allah that Yidiyas Hashem is a Yisayt v'amud HaChachma. The question is, what's the Allah Shabazah? It's true that Yidiyas Hashem is the Yisayt that Yisayt. What's for halacha linked in them? Halacha means that we're telling a person to do something. A certain hira, bitzu, how to behave, not just saying a certain fact, a certain uvda. So was for Allah liegt in them that Yidiyas Hashem, knowing that it's an Eibishter, is that you say some of the Chachmas. What's the Allah Shuvah? What's sort of psak din liegt in them? It's a an idea shesh amat sedishin who you say kol Torah. Is the bar kim lo yisamas and siyas Hashem lo yitia amana b'Torah. And the reason is the getlichkeit. So then the whole concept of Torah is not a psamaisi the other. That it's Torah which nit mi beide elam. That means nasfrana beide. But halach in yana psak din hanegel pele. Ma shaykh lemer b'inin hanal she yidiyah zu who you say shu halach. What's the pshat of this halach? Saying that. So there brings it a chulef Shloime, but that's representing a beer, but that's not the nekuda. What's the get read in the Hadran? Chulef Shloime shkan bi yidiyah zu ish nafkim el ma'is. What's nafkim el ma'is? Nafkim shlei de shesh matzrish no say it ba'am b'chol inyan atera kulo. So ariz mechayiv sha'aschod b'lim datera tzrich liis b'inin zad afke. There's halachas of din kedima. What are you supposed to learn first? So the most important thing, or something which you say it for everything, that's mechayah, that there's a din kedima to learn this subject before you learn anything else. So that's not committed to ma'aseh to know that. If the Ram wouldn't have been say for that, say what the nefshim is gewusst, that they say this is that there's a chiyuv kedima in Mrs. Yidiyas Hashem. Even though that brings later, it's not a beer, it's not a shtarket beer. This what gewusst misvara. This nekuda that there's a halacha lahaktiv, there's a din kedima to learn Yidiyas Hashem before other inyanim, that we would have known that even if the Rama wouldn't have mentioned it within the halachas that it's a yisayid this. Even if he says just in the kepel that Yidiyas Hashem is a yisayid, misvara veisimer that something which is a yisayid has a din kedima legabe things that are pratim which are neveah from the yisayid. Doesn't have to write in the halacha itself yisayid the system of the chachmis in order to bring out this point. That's something about misvara. Savish doesn't say mufurish. How do we know that because it's a yisayid it's a din kedima? That's misvara. A davar choshuv or something which in emes al tali is machad. There's a din kedima. What's after is bringing in the pnim. But this is the first beer that Rebbe says. So another nafkamid is going to be shamayna l'shayla v'zeh kedemas l'mayna shayla sachiris. Aval hezber zeh ini mastik. Ki al pizeh shal dimu shal yisei that teira. Yesh chayvas akdimu l'dimu shal chol l'chazat teira. So then it's not only menigel l'lochaz arishein, it's going to be menigel l'chol l'chaz yisei that teira. The Rambam should say that Abbas Hashem is a yisei. The Rambam sagt that everything that he speaks about in these halachas are yisei the teira. If the nekuda that it says is mechayv at din kedima and if will zag that it's not enough to say it in the akdam and therefore zagging in the pnim, so you should have said when you get to Abbas Hashem that you say it gadol Abbas Hashem, you say it gadol the yiras Hashem, and you say it gadol nevuah. We should know that there's a din kedima. Okay, we can skip. We don't have to go through every single prat. It says after the king shemafar tarama var silchas to say that teira any mad gishun nefsim kima says shemi say that teira but the hadi shad is chivas akdim b'limut. And the pashtus is that we don't have to we don't have to be madgishin in the pnim. Even if it's in the akdama what we gewusst that there's a chiv kdim. And Rebbe says zoed the ganze ikar toch hazim ma amad bar shalei kazeh seder alimud hanog. Well, that's not to say that Advarim. Was that is bringing with them as a nishke richtige Sach, or that to say that the reason why the Ram is makdim it is in order to say that it's a din kedima. That means the fact that the Yidiyas Hashem has a din kedima is a davar am foolish barambam. Then it would be a shver zach. We don't find anyone we don't find anywhere. If it's a halacha or a shaklatari, why is it that we don't learn that as the first thing? So it's mashal. That's not the ikra mechuv what the Rambam is saying. The din kedim lochas hamateri. There could be other cheshbeinis involved. There could be a cheshbon when it comes to being mechanech. Someone had to learn. Maybe there's the seder chshivas halimud that from maknas and episandish. Even though you see conceptually what we get after makdim zayin yidiyas Hashem. The poil there's other cheshbeinis why we're makdim other tchum other nice. In order for someone to from mitzad chinuch halimud you have to be makdim other things. So it's schwer to say that the reason why the Ram is this because it's coming to say there's a lot of dimas atayr. Because the fact that lei amad bar is mashma that is taken not mitzad the idea what the taken mechav. But there's no halacha mifnei atzma to be makdim hilchos the idea atayr itself. It's not a halacha leikuva. And when there's other cheshbeinis and there are other milas to be makdim something else, we take a makdim other things. That's l'chor the kavanah, no? L'chor the kavanah. Okay, like upon so black the shaila, what's the pshat? What's the halacha in the fact that Yidiyas Hashem is a yisei that yisei? Mashma says there's one way a person has Yidiyas Hashem, without not if Yidiyas Hashem wouldn't be or if a person wouldn't know there wouldn't be a halacha. Yidiyas Hashem is a yisei. There'd be one way of knowing the musik of Elokus. When the Rambam says Yidiyas Hashem is Yisei, so that gives a different way of how to be Mekayim Mitzvah Yidiyas Hashem. That's the Nafka Min Allah. It's a different eifin of Mekayim and Mitzvah Yidiyas Hashem with Akdame that it's a Yisei God. That we'll see. So it's not because that's the first thing to learn, just inside the Cheshbon Advarim, inside the Seder Advarim, well, it's a different eifin of Yidiyah. Different way of knowing. Let's get to Mazmur. The Hemshel, I was going to get to that in the Meshel Zman, but that's one. What's the pshat? You say this in Chachmas. So Rebbe says the pshitis. Had they bevadil, you say this in Chachmas Shabbatayra. You're looking at order 9. The Rabbanel teaches that you say this for Chachmas means in Yana Chachmas U'Masayim. The Rambam is saying Yis Hashem is you say it for Chachmas Ha'elam too. So they're saying in the Prim that it's bevadil. The Rambam is not Manaf Kabin and Sefer Hayad. What's a Yisod for Chveis Chachmas Tzedus? Let's negate the Sefer HaRambam as Am Yisor. Even if it's true that Yis Hashem is a Yisod for Chachmas U'Masayim. Manaf Kabin and Sefer Hayad to Zagan as Azach. It means B'zestar Kushas Rabbanel Ma Lanu Ladas Ma Yisei Dazo Amud HaChachmas HaNachis and Shalei V'rei Yisraelim. So that is Nishdas meint and meint out in Yanim and Teirah. There's Yanim of Yiseidus and Teirah and Yanim of Chachmas of Teirah. So the Shaila is, what are the Yiseidus and what are the Chachmas? And also, why would again they say this Nagat La Halosh and Yiseidus is Nigel Chachmas Amud HaChachmas. Beis, how was for Eifin is the Rambam? How does he describe the Eibishter in the Halacha Rishayim? So the Rambam says, "Leida sheyesha motzirish." So this is a first existence. So tevas motzei techne rak sheyesh ne'ezem mitzias. There's a being. There's an existence. Aval eine media kol prat ma umihi mitzias. There's no description what type of mitzias it is, what type of being it is. So the Mishayla when you move on, harichiv leida sheyesh elaka. Mrs. Tenut, there's a supreme being. There's an Eibishter. There's someone that he's shalit al kol. Alakam means that he's a musig of divinity, that he's muchayiv mitzias, that he's shalit and everything. The word Motzer Rishon doesn't express that there's a mitzias, that this mitzias is a muchayiv mitzias, and that he's shalit and bechefzi hakel yasa. It doesn't bring out, this is not brought out in the word Motzer. Motzer just says there's an existence. The Lashon Alakah would have brought out that there's an Eibishter. Harichiv leida sheshem alakah. Umufurish min mitzvah shlufnei aschol saperek. Shigam zeh omer HaRambam. There the lashon is leida sheshem alakah. Can have a little meimar sheshem alakah. V'yesh b'chal masayim mana shu matzei. Very important in the lashon. Why does the Rambam say sheyeshem matzei rishon? Nachazach b'fak shaloshen matzei shayach gam negel in Nevrayim. The etzem meaning of existence also in Nevrayim are matzei. Etzem zach a faranenkeit, an existence in Nevrayim also exists. We're saying Matzah Rishon, he's the first existence, before anything else existed. But why doesn't the Rambam say a word that brings out the Tchun of Elokus? Doesn't say a word that brings out the Tchun of Elokus. What's the Shayla? Yes, Amol, the beard is that the Rambam wants to bring out Matzah Rishon, that he wants to go to the Etzem of Elokus that's beyond Hagdara. Shaitas Amol is that beard. Doesn't say any Hagdara when he gets to Matzah because he wants to bring out the Nukud of Etzem of Elokus that has no description at all. But that's what ich gewinn dichel of Yutzei Elokah. Elokah doesn't say it's a Tchuna Chiyuv is about the Eibishter. There's you say someone that has full authority. Whatever the type of get of Elokah means, not necessarily a Pirush. But the Rebbe's Madgeshir, the word Mitzias is an existence, not the Hagdar, not the word that existence that has no touch. Matzah Rishon, a first being, a first existence. So liktish in the word matzah that it's pseidin of avshat, in pshitas. There's an existence. So the shaila is, and that's a missing musik of existence exists by Nevrayim too. If I was to lose the Rambam as Alosh. Then l'achri om rishim matzah so whom mamzi kol nimtza my meisi v'kamashal at gashas shurish. Yesham matzah, which is mamzi kol nimtza. One of me to say that is urish. Yisayim is the same type of kasha that Rebbe has to get the matzah, that Rebbe has to get the rish. Rishon Meir Shadavar and Nikrikein who nimne b'shayach advarim abayim achro. Say the first has to be the first of a chain. You're not saying that he's something that's miyuchad muvdal atzmid. If you say yachid means that he's a singular thing. A first means that he's a first sequence, the hensha. If there's no relationship, there's no yachas between the Elyon and the Tachten, it's not they call him a first. So very much the Eibishter is the first for creation, the first for the Metzias and the Blind. He's not the first. The Eibishter exists. And all the words saying it's Machan Avel. Let's try what's the Pshat Matzah Rishon. Rishon, so the same type of kasha when you get to matzah. The dugmas, there are two problems when you get to matzah. First of all, you're not giving, the Ram could have said a word which expresses divinity, which expresses Gettlichkeit, Rishon Malika. That's one kasha. The second kasha is that Fakir uses a lashon that's metayr, a shaychas to himself. The etzem matzah, also nevraim are things that exist. So he's not saying, using a word that's shaykh, you say, b'miyucha to the Eibishter. Otherwise, I'm get to Rishon. First of all, what's that an onkum and it's extra. And the second kasha is, Rishon also shows that he's shaykh. The Eibishter is the first of creation. He's not the first. He's a mizgeres of Shnei Rishon Meirish Adavar Nikrikin who nimne v'shaykh l'dvarim b'y machra. V'kosha, the Ram Atzmi Kesef b'Halacha Gimel, shegam kasher kol ha'emtzayim l'vadi lo yiyu mitzayim. Who l'vadi yiyu mitzayim l'yibat l'lo b'tom. Is in the Sisi Valakus is not dependent on the Sisi Nebra. V'lei zul b'dad l'shkol ha'emtzayim. And then dimin la'beri yizbar, misharam Hayr l'chazayim b'ches, m'chazik var b'ram m'chaz b'amita d'amini v'eshvet. Ken eich shaykh le'mar Allah yizbar yashu matzirish. Yeah, so this is two kashas that the Rebbe read when you get to the two terim the Rambam uses to express the musik of Holocaust. Matzah Rishon, both of them have a beer, both of these terim. The Kodesh Advarim is that besides that there could have been a better words to use. The main kasha is that he uses a tayar which the Chodesh shows that the Eibishter has a yachash to himself. He's the first to creation, another existence. The table exists, the world exists, the Eibishter is in existence. The Holocaust is bein arei chavel. That's the shayla. Second Allah, so the shaila is ma mechadish b'zeh im yala la shoeni motzi is ein davar acher yochel yimotzis achri k'sov levalach al shkol enusel minisel amit sim motzi hari l'chule ein kol teises chidish b'zeh sheim shalvat mitzvus b'rchein davar acher yochel yimotzis what's the teruk with that? The zweite kasha is what's the adichas for the shein v'im yala ala das. How did Meir will come on because we're parshas v'im hu ein yimatzu chulu v'yilu. What's the solution v'im yala ala das? But benel kosav bezel fish is davar medum v'ein davar efshari something which is kenish zayin as a zay at the Reibish is on the zay. It's not possible that that there shouldn't be his existence. So if v'yilu would be mashmos, the fact is this way. If it would be that way, it's kach v'kach. There's no option that it could be that way. So the Ram use a lashon yala ala das. That a mensch can sich duchten as azah, but in reality it's not shaykh such a option. Ja, das sheni matzik, he said David, the Meir Adam lief shiyeke. The Rebbe brings Rai, says it's not necessarily like that. The Rambam brings in Yonim which kenen ish zayin. Now the king doesn't use the lashon in Yala Ladas. Any movement, Allah the Chamam al-Chazan, case Baram, Ilo Elokus Harbi, Ilo Yetzer Guf and Gvir. Davar Gezel also Davar Medum, Vini Davar Efshari. Allah the king, in the case of Shom, Yala Ladas, can be Ilu. He said the Ilu means if you're going to think such, if you're going to have such a thought. Doesn't have even though it's something which b'mtzias can sein. Beza film b'mtzias tim tzolem shesh l'chadik b'neim kamaduma deini matzim mufrach umushli yisrael kamaduma de lukas harbi v'guf v'gvia adayin ini muvin loshan aram yitalas adik b'chol tev kemau ardichas im yal aladas l'rag loshan tzorda v'im gedam v'keizes. Okay, that's the shabbos. Gimel mashkotz v'shehu eini matzim l'chor havle l'katz v'lema she'eini matzim ma'ika mashmal tebasu. The Rambam means to say in yal aladas that the Eibishter doesn't exist. You should use the lashon v'im yal aladas she'eini matzim. What's shehu eini matzim? Okay, let me only bin the it's going to be the minion limazin. Bir b'chol now you've been behektem atmiyah b'chol suchas yisei de'atayr. So the Rambam schreibt in der Keppel huchas yisei de'atayr. So the shaila is a Pirish Mishnah Yisan had the very chelik case of Rambam shikr the same yisei desel im shleisha also yisei des. Mefarta. Ilu b'huchas yisei de'atayr mashmit kamamim. B'yes Mashiach chiyas amazing. Means the Gemara is just a few more that it doesn't bring him to say that there. Schar Ba'enish is not brought to say that there. One of the Yud Gimel Ikrim. Kama Yud Gimel Ikrim. So the shaila is, what's the pshat? The Rambam says, look, you say that Torah, so he's reading all you say this of Torah, and then in Perek Chelik exactly that there's 13 you say this of Torah. He could say this of Shleish Esrei. Why doesn't they bring them and say in Sefer Hayat? They don't know that what's the pshat? You speak about the Gimel Ikrim, or you say that Torah, what's the pshat Ikrim, you say this. It doesn't mean, the Rambam says that any Yid that says that the whole Torah is emes, that's one pasuk Meishim Piatzmi, is a kefer b'Torah. If he says one ace, or one ace from Torah Shema Pez, nicht emes, also a kefer b'Torah. But that's not, you say this means that Mekenish Vashtein, the musik of Torah mitzvahs without having this musik. Terem and Hashemayim, the reason why if someone doesn't believe Terem and Hashemayim is a kafir, it's not because he doesn't believe what Moshe Rabbeinu said. It's because if it means he doesn't have a correct understanding of what Torah is. If a person thinks that Torah is a man-made thing, he has a wrong understanding of what Torah is. In order to have a correct understanding of what Torah mitzvah, what Yiddishkeit is, there's 13 Yisaydas. 13. If you don't know these Yisaydas, you're missing an understanding of what Torah mitzvah is. Someone never heard of mitzvah tefillin, he's not necessarily doesn't have a correct understanding of what Yiddishkeit is. You can understand what Yiddishkeit is, and what the tachlis is, and what the musik of Torah mitzvah is. Even if you don't know there's a certain mitzvah, for many dinim, many halachas, in their base that there's a Isser Shabbos to Chveis Mechatach, or other Isser. You're going to say that he's missing a correct understanding of the concept of Yiddishkeit. He's not missing, versteht sehr gut, was Yiddishkeit is. Many pratim that most Yidden don't know all pratim of Torah. It means the Pasha. You say this is that if you don't have the knowledge of these Nekudas, hat man nicht richtig verstanden what Yiddishkeit is. That's you say the Torah. So the Rambam is bringing, you say that in Sefer Hayad, you say that the Rambam brings is the mitzvah. Certain things that he brings here, he doesn't bring there. The Mashal Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. The Rambam doesn't bring it in, it's not one of the Gimel Ikrim, that you have to have Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Here, it's one of the Yisaytis of Torah. That means you can have a correct understanding of the concept of Torah, side when you have Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. That's the mashmos. Without Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem, so it's a Yisayt in Torah, Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Nevuah, the mashal that he brings here, he brings in Gimel Ikrim too. But Kama things that he brings here, he does not bring in Gimel Ikrim. And Kama Ikrim that he brings in Perek Chelek, the mashal B'yas Mashiach, Tchias HaMesim, B'chal mentioned in Sefer Hayat. Brings in Sefer Hayat, not mentioned in Sefer Hayat. Tchias HaMesim, and the Schar V'Einish. B'chal Nish Dermont Meseir Teres, what's the Pshat? Mashiach Kama, let's break to the Kash. Papier is the road touches like this. It's an interesting Sache. We keep on shekol technisch Sefer Hayat, to Kolosh Ranam, like the Mosri, there is al derech like by Rashi. Since Rashi says I need the bus el lefarish pshita shemikra, so this for I need must learn that. Even clearly Rashi learns pshita shemikra. But Amol sagt Medrash. It's a geschmack in Medrash, a geschmack in this. Amol Rashi brings it in. I don't know exactly how they work out exactly the club. But there Rashi pshita shemikra, so it's not stam. There's a chelik in Torah which Inyani is to explain pshita shemikra. And apitelas emes pirish Rashi alatelas pshita shemikra. So there's nothing there that's not part of pshita shemikra. Because anything that's not pshita shemikra, it holds on to Rashi. There might be Ramaz Mahukim and Rashi, but there must be that every single prat of Rashi could be eisgeteicht within the realm of Pshut Shemikra. Because Anilei Basi Elafar Pshut Shemikra schreibt there that his Inyan is, then that's that chelik in Torah, chelik apshat shebetayr. That's Inyan Amiti. So chelik apshat shebetayr, it's not that you say, people look at it, Rashi came to write a Pirush. Amos schreibt there an ander Zach, besides Pshut Shemikra. That's a Piyah Emes. You have a chelik in Torah which in Yani is Pshut Shemikra. It's pshat shebetayr. So there cannot be a prat that's not nichlam pshat shebetayr. As no one's going to say there's a halach in Shulchan Aruch that's in of drush of Mil Chasidus. Shulchan Aruch is halachas. Chayiv adam lazes kach lekach. It's not the. So there is a Rashi's pshat shemikra. It's that chelik pshat shebetayr. So the Rambam says kol technisch sefer Hayat is halachas. So the Rambam is chelik halacha shebetayr. Anything which is not a part of chelik halacha shebetayr doesn't exist in sefer Hayat. The Rambam brought in other stuff. A Yid's writing a sefer brought in other things. Apiteras emes, Rambam is halacha shebetayr. So there's no word in Rambam that's not a part of halachas. With anything that's brought there is negeh for the gather of halacha. Or whatever is not negeh to the gather of halacha is not mentioned in Sefer Hayat. Because that's that tagdar of Sefer Hayat, the halachas. So mistaber leimar shegam ater, the musik of Torah in Sefer Hayat is the musik of halacha. So other like there is negeh to Rashi. If Rashi brings a certain musik, so Rashi speaking the musik, so someone that learns medrash is going to understand the musik, and there's the way someone that learns pshat understands the musik. You mentioned Avraham Avinu. Someone that learned Kabbalah, so Avraham Avinu was chveis midas chesed Shabbat tzedus. For a child, Avraham Avinu means the mitzias where Avraham Avinu given. When Rashi speaks about Avraham, what's the musik of Avraham that Rashi speaks about? The way Avraham is al pi pshat, not Avraham the way Avraham is al pi seid or other musagim. Although Rashi speaks of the musik of Torah, it's the way a child understands the musik of Torah. Not Torah, chveis adaisim k'shibir kol achad in yonam of seidus HaTorah that a child ben chamish the mikra veisish from zeh. So al derech zeh, when the Rambam brings Torah in Sefer Hayat, which aspect of Torah is speaking about? Torah within the mizgaris of Allah. Other aspects of Torah, nish does mean the word Torah in Sefer Hayat. The word Torah in Sefer Hayat is the musik of Torah the way it is mitzad the gather of Allah. So, Shahainu musik the Torah kan technei leipel pulle der reise. Okay, jetzt bitte. Sware sekretarius which are, that's not this chelik of Torah is chelik halacha sheb'Torah. So what does that mean when he says Torah? Halacha is Torah. What's the Hadran of halacha ati pshutai? Torah melashon ira means showing a person what to do, how to live l'poil, how to say orders of how a person should live his life in actuality. That's what, and that's the musik of Torah. The musik of Torah in Sefer Hayad is the sefer which the Eibishter telling me what to do and how to, the orders of the Eibishter wie zu führen sich. And the Kavana be say that Torah, how you say the Shalach Zedin Torah. So there is Mavayr. In Yiddishkeit has other inyanim besides for halachas. Besides for the fact that the Eibishter tells a person what to do, besides the fact that Torah is the sefer of his vice dimension, wie zu führen sich, there's other aspects in Torah. There's Drusha b'Torah, there's Seidus HaTorah, Kabbalah, there's Svara, Shakvatayas in Torah. Yiddishkeit has more besides for the gather of halacha. Yiddishkeit has other inyanim besides for the gather of halacha. Dort in Retter, Yid Gimel Ikrim, that of them, you say this for the whole Yiddishkeit in general. The whole Yiddishkeit, Pshat, Remez, Drush, say, the entire hekef of Yiddishkeit has leaked. In order to have a richtig verstand, what's the call of the Gemusse of Yiddishkeit, there's 13 you say this. Dort Retter, you say that, you say this of the gather of halacha. Means if you want to have a correct understanding of the gather of halacha, you have to know these inyanim that means until to say that. Means without missing these pratim, you have a wrong understanding of the gather of halacha. I'm just saying, that doesn't bring this here, but one of the Rambam brings is Avos Hashem. Avos Hashem is not necessarily a yisayit to what's the general matar of Yiddishkeit b'chlal. But if a person thinks that he can do halachas without having Avos Hashem, without having Avos to the Mekayim halachas, he has a wrong understanding what's the nature of vimedaf, what's the gather of doing halach. Say an evet that is, if the Yitz whole tfisa is, that Mekayim say mitzvahs nor b'derech Kabbalah seh, not b'derech Avos, says, and the whole gather of halach is just fulfilling orders. You say if the whole gather of Allah is just carrying out orders, that's a wrong understanding what Allah is. I'm just saying, if a person doesn't understand, there's a mitzvah of lev, it's Hashem, so he has a wrong understanding what Allah is. In order to understand what halacha is, these are the reasons you say that there. Every single prat. This is a Kavanah say that how you say this shall halachas v'dinei Torah. There is a whole different beer here. The Rebbe is saying that when Rambam says Yidiyas Hashem, the Rambam is not speaking about Tamas the mitzvah of Yidiyas Hashem. You say how the pratim that the Rambam brings when you get to the Musik of Elokus is all you say this for the Musik of Allah. The concept, even when the Rambam speaks about the Musik of Elokus, it's the concept of Elokus the way it is inside the Gather of Allah. But Dukos like we're saying when you get to Pshutish and Mikra. And the Rambam brings the Musik of Elokus. So it's the way the child understands the Musik of Elokus, because everything is within the realm of Pshat. So al derech zeh, when the Rambam speaks the Musik of Elokus, it's the Musik of Elokus the way it is from the point of view of Chelik Halacha Shabbatay. And that's why you need to have dafka these te'arim, these inyanim. Mashaykin and Dagdome, he's speaking in Klali, lav dafka the way it is inside Gedar Allah. So even Klali is later Sheshem Alaka. But when he starts breaking it down, the Musik of Elokus, the way it is Api Allah, so the Richtike and the Yinyanim which are the Gedar of Elokus, the way it is Api Allah is, we see Matzavishin and those problems. Now we'll see later. But that's a whole different tfis of the Indian. So we don't take the Rambam to such an extent. Well, a regular thing, the Rambam brings Sikurim, let's say, or the Rambam is Meirich when they get history, when they get Chanukah, he says the past, he's Meirich, the Toss of Enish. So Shala, why is the Rambam Meirich in Inyanim of Sikurim? We hear the Rebbe take it much, where the Rambam is being magder a certain mitzvah. Or mitzvah Diyas Hashem, so the Choradir is saying a mitzvah. Every word in the Rambam is the way it is Chelik Halacha Shabbatay. But Dugmas like the Rebbe takes to Rosh Hashanah. So every concept that's mentioned there is the Musik, the way it is inside the Gedar Allah.
The concept of let's say Talmud, learning the Torah, doesn't exist in Rambam. The lens of Allah doesn't exist that idea.
Because there's a mitzvah to learn. Saying is, but there is in Yanim and Torah that in Yanim is not Heira what to do. There's other Yanim and Torah. There's there brings here Pulish al Torah. There is the concept of in Yanim and Torah, which in Yanim is not Laheiris. The Rambam is going to say there's a mitzvah to learn them. But there's another concept in Torah, besides for showing a person what to do, that a person should be deeper aware of the Eibish's Chachma, let's say. Not l'shem heirah, how to live l'payah in this world. A person should have a deeper understanding of Misha Amar V'Hayah, let's say. Whatever. They go, L'meid HaGadah sh'ayidizei ha'v'bir ha'akar n'elukus. Lata you're learning HaGadah in order to know how to live. Have a deeper akar n'elukus. So that musik is not that's not the musik of Allah. Allah is His orders of how a person should live. The other inyanim elukus which are not about the source of orders for a person, that aspect in the Lakus is not brought in Yonim Shana Get in the Neshama, let's say. Or Chveis other in Yonim. Gilgulim, I don't know, there's Yonim in Torah Gilgulim Neshamas. But it's not a part of Sefer Hayat. I'm saying, we'll see later, the same way that Rebbe takes in Pshat, that Pshitish Mikra is the whole Yiddishkeit, the way it is from the lens of Pshitish Mikra. So there is in Sefer Hayat, it's the whole Yiddishkeit, but all the way it is from the lens of Allah. That's the, we'll see that. So L'chein, L'hevi HaRambam, look to say that Torah, Kama Mea Seder, Shemeini B'ed Gimalikrim Shalei. After Kama Hem K'mei B'yas HaMashiach, he actually brings it, they're halachas. Not necessarily halach. But B'yas HaMashiach is a part of the get. That means the fact that there's going to be a day which Mashiach is going to come, that's a part of the Chelik Halacha Shabbatayim. It's not just the theoretical part of Yiddishkeit. We're going to see later how it's Negea and Chelik Halacha, the fact that B'yas Mashiach. Yechatas was the Chasam Sefer is Miskasha. L'chora B'yas Mashiach is only Schar. It's part of the Mizgaras Allah. We'll see later. Shlachem Evim is Sefer Hayat. Aval Ebil Chas Sefer Hayat. Ki Yisei Des Elu Ima Yesem Yisei De Adas V'Atera B'Muvan Kloli and the Halachas B'Fnei Atzman Aval Enim Yisei Des Shal Halachas Atera Shal Halachas Atera. Again, before we go back, there's just one word. Let's negate to know. That's in order. Das Gesetz is a very important order. Order 1. Das Gesetz is the order 1. It's negate to the whole Hemshech here. Rebbe bringt, was stellt sich auf die Pnim? Was ist der Loschen hier? Oh. That's the fact that this Pirush says that the fact what Shatter you say because Mlei Samas and Yes Hashem will tell Amana Beter. So it brings Lashna Pirush. The Zeish Lemidoi saying a cloud for the rest of the Hadran of here. The Kamat Rosh Befnim Sheba is a sign of the Harmon Civic Daily Yisrael Amitim. So dog Daily Yisrael Amitim some Gedat in the Union. Why is it not being mitzayim to any of these form? A Pidi Rama Magdamos Shekavanos Shlei Adam started Chibar Achar Ba'elam B'Din Chulu. Lachar Shikr Chibar Zeh. So Bo can be equal to Yunam Achad and Lucifer Mer Nebuchim and Gamzer Akla Shufet Demos. What's the Rebbe saying here? He's only being mitzayin Yunam Achadim to the Rambam Sefer Mer Nebuchim. Means Rebbe saying in other words, he's learning Rambam. The Rambam says you don't need any other Sefer besides from my Sefer. It means that a Yid says Chavek learn the Rambam from the Lashon Rambam itself. Whatever the Rebbe is saying here is was mit der gate mitzad der etzam limud Rambam itself, not from any external source. Because the Rambam says you have to learn his Sefer. You learn his Sefer, you don't need to come out to any other Sfarim. So if a Yid with a richtiger Seichel learns Sefer Hayat, he's going to come to the Maskanas. The Maskanas that the Rebbe is saying here is from an Ion, the Sefer Rambam Gufa. Not mitzad the Yidiyas that are coming from Kitzenis the Kamikers. So he's looking at Sefer, the Sefer Mer Nevuchim. The Farben Abyssal Seichel. The Mer Nevuchim is the Rambam showing a person what's the richtige Weg zu verstehen. Or something like that, but not that we're not relying on any other sources outside of the words of the Rambam itself. Out there, like the Rebbe brings Legabi Pirashashi also, that the Rambam Rashi is not going to ask a kasha from a pasuk the child didn't learn. The child didn't learn yet. The child only knows, Ben Chamash Mikra only knows the psukim that he learned till then. That's what he knows. So it'll be a kasha from the but other information based on it. So the Rashi is not going to be misyachas the kashas Charneveya from later psukim or from other Yadam and Nach which the child doesn't know. So there is there. The Havana and the Rambam, you don't have to know anything besides for Sefer Hayat itself. And if you learn Sefer Hayat, wie es darf zu sein, without relying on any Chitzenis de Kemekeres, Kumpin zu, that's where these Biurim are coming from.
Why is the Bible not done so much?
Why is the Bible not so much? Through this truck?
I know, what's up? It's called a war.
Daily Yisrael Amitim. What said the quotes? Here the Rebbe brings the Rebbe's Sheil is Pirushim, that's called. When the Rebbe Sheil is Pirushim, that's a late Technish organization. It's not Mistabel. It's not Sheil from other Makarias. Rav Pesach is not Mistabel as it. But as the Rebbe is being a Pirush Shalei Kfi Dvara, so you have to say, why if someone's learning a Pesach, or others when they get to you say this means Umasayla. In Halacha, we don't know about it. In the world of Halacha, there's something that's in Chachas Chasenius. There's Torah relates to every single thing that exists in this world. But here we're dealing with the Chedek HaLacha Shevateh. No, I'm saying later, the Rebbe speaks in Yonim Amukim, Chassidus and everything, but the Rebbe is saying it's all Mitech Iyun B'Sefer HaRambam Atzah. If you don't have any prior information, so the Rambam says that the Sefer is Halachas. So if you're a Yid without any Midias Chitzenius. Everything that's mentioned here is halachas. Everything is now the shaila is what's the musik of this lashon is a shver lashon here. But what's the musik of Allah? Let's see if you want it. So the Inyanim that Ram speaks about Hilchos Seidat Torah are the Yisaidis to the musik of Allah. So now we have to understand what is the concept of Allah. The Meila will get to understand why the Inyanim that Ram mentions here are the Yisaidis for the concept of Allah. First, understand what is the musik of Allah. Yes, there's arichas here, but I think before we start, we'll go to the Besikin Achar Be'Yisafa, and then we'll go back to this lashon. We'll go back to this. I'm verstehen the lashon before. Kol halacha bedin Torah halacha. Eina ka'inyanim shebetera shebesug yagol Torah v'yadim. She'im b'em hira nesefes. There is a chilek of Torah, mashal svara in Torah. Not every svara is mechayiv a din l'mais. Usually, every svara has a bechin. We have a chetimtza. The Gemara brings yagol Torah v'yadim of svaras that have no bechin l'payil. The pasuk the Torah says that the simonim of that is snapper and kaskeses. The pile call me sheyesh le snapper. Yesh is not. If you have a snapper, automatically have a kaskeses. So Torah doesn't have to mention both simonim. The minute you say that the fish has to have a snapper, the male has a kaskeses too. There's no mitzias of a dag which has a snapper which doesn't have a kaskeses. So the fact that Torah tzugalit they have also a snapper kaskeses is a yagol Torah v'yad, another part of Torah, but doesn't have any implication l'maisa. There's no shini l'maisa from this pasuk in Torah, from this nekuda in Torah that one of the simonim of a dak Torah is a kasket. It's true, it's one of the simonim of a dak Torah. But this simon is not maisif any hira l'maisa. There's maybe hira savis Hashem, pashit nezach, but there's no hira l'maisa from this idea. So that's the nigu to the musik of Allah. The musik of Allah is the fact that Torah is a psak din, mitzvah filen sich anders. Hira nesefes. What's together with Allah? Psak din chodosh b'negia l'davar mesuyim. Psak din chodosh b'negia l'davar mesuyim. Also, a psak din has to be that the reality, the way it is not like that. And the Eibush is giving me an order to do something. It means to do something that the mitzvah should be not like the way it is before. If that's the way the mitzvah is milchatchila, so it's not the gather of Allah. So first of all, there has to be, you say, take a lulav, netilas lulav. That means that a person naturally, without telling him to do it, his hand is not in the mode of shaking the lulav. And you tell the person, a psak din, go do kach v'kach, get to it. In Yanim, any Indian Torah which is not changing or not dictating a new behavior, so that's not under the mizgaras of Allah. That's one thing. And the Meile, this is a Hadram Serachlis and the Rebbe is medayik here that the gather of halacha is that there is. You see, every halacha is doing with something. There's no halacha is not a theoretical thing. Doing something in this tangible world. What do you mean doing? And what's that you say doing something? What does it mean doing something? That instead of the thing being one way, to do it, to change it, it should be befin kafta. Is that the meaning? If someone tells me, go put on tefillin, do this ma'aser, that means that there's an object of a hand, there's an object of tefillin, and the way the hand is not, by itself is not the way the Eibusher wants. He wants you to take this hand and put on tefillin on. So that's mechayev, first of all, that the hand exists. If the hand doesn't exist, the hand has no meaning. So what's the pshat that it matters to the Eibusher how the hand is? Halach is tell the person take your hand and put tefillin in. That means that the hand has a chshivas. If the hand has no chshivas at all, so you're telling to do something. So it doesn't matter to him what you're doing. So Shaykh Zagan Allah. Allah means that this thing matters, but what's Bashayta Allah that this thing should be in a certain form. The way it is now, before being Mekayim Allah, it's not in a way. It's not the way the Eibusher wants it to be, and the Eibusher wants it to be beifin kach v'kach. You say there's a cup of water, they bring the cup of water here. That means that it matters to you to have the cup of water has significance, and you want but the way the cup of water is naturally, the fact that it's there is not the way you want it. You want it to come here. So what's halacha mechayev? That on one hand that the mitzias sheba'ilam, or the mitzias that halacha discusses. Every halacha has to discuss a mitzias. You're telling someone to do something with something. There's no halachas. Doing an action means with a certain object. 77. What's the pshat from them? So, huh? No, it doesn't bother me. They don't hurt the meaning. Was like I mentioned, do kaf v'kaf. What does it mean, do kaf v'kaf? So there's every halacha is telling someone to do something with a certain object. Do something with your hand, do something with your foot. So there's an object with what you have to do. And telling someone to do something with your hand means that your hand, the way it is now, you put on tefillin. So your hand is the object. You're telling you to do something with your hand, put tefillin on. That means that the hand has significance. And the hand, that's on one hand. On the other hand, the hand, the way it is, without putting on tefillin, is not the hesed to the way the Eibishter wants. It's not the way the hand is supposed to be, or the way the Eibishter wants it to be. And the mitzvah is to take the hand and to make it should be behesed to the way the Eibishter wants.
So what's the difference in those two things?
Now, I just want to remind you, what do you mean between those two things?
That it's not the way it's just doing now, and that
We'll see the problem.
We'll
see the problem. Before now, is being the word. I'm saying it's usually, sometimes we think about Allah, it's very actually a little different. We think about, let's say, the author says in the Torah, that Idun Stavinu Lachta Veitzim, mitzvahs don't necessarily have any meaning. As they did, Kach Olaber Tzayin. We're trying to say that there's a Davar Shachlis Veifin Kach. The Rebbe is going to say a whole type of here. In Pashas, the author says in the Torah, Lamashal, the Eibishter wants Kach Olaber Tzayin. Not necessarily he's going to get anything from it, and not necessarily it matters. But that's all apechsidus. Never that apir Rambam. Apir Rambam means a yid comes with api seichel. Person comes with seichel. The Eibishter tells him, do this. What does it? They say a person. Reuven tells Shimon, take this cup of water and take it off the table. What does that mean? That he matters to him that the cup shouldn't be on the table, and therefore he's telling me go do that. If the thing doesn't matter, so what are you telling the person to go do kaf lekaf? So the Eibishter comes and tells a person, go take your hand and put on tefillin on your left hand. That means that it matters to him that my left hand has significance, and he wants that in order this left hand without tefillin is nishvirvil, is lake say. In order for the left hand to be linachasrucha as a virvil, you have to make sure there should be tefillin on the hand. That's the Rebbe saying. That's the gather of Allah.
So the other answer is by default the way they want to do.
We'll see later. Allah, the Isser is, you say, distant that thing. Move yourself away from that thing. And Apia Midas Advarim, why you say distant? He doesn't want that thing to exist. Doesn't want the person to be involved in such behavior. So the Teichen is to be Teichet. We'll see later. He's going to touch the Gabi say also. What we're saying is, someone looking up Yisrael. Someone tells a person, a teacher tells his class, no one should speak in the class. And everybody should do kach v'kach. That means it matters to him that speech should be eradicated from the class. And that everybody should be in a certain mode. He wants these objects here, but not to be a certain way, not to be the way they are naturally, let's say, or the way they are on themselves. To be a certain way. And in order to accomplish that, we have to go do something. So we could look at halachas. I'm just trying to bring out this. We could look at halachas and just say, halachas are things to do. No meaning. They should told us, do this, do that. They were taking a whole lumdus, what the musik of halacha is, and therefore, that this concept needs to say this. First, what's the concept of halacha? He says that we're telling a person to take something and to make that it should be according to the Eibishter wants. It's not halacha says fulfilling command. That's not the Agdar of halacha. The Agdar of halacha is not just fulfilling orders. The Agdar of halacha is that the reality should be according to the way the Eibishter wants. And that means that naturally it's not the way he wants. It's naturally the way he wants. So what are you telling him to do? If you're telling him to do something, that means that the way it is not the Hesem L'Tzeni. And only if it's going to be in a certain form. In a different form, it's going to be Kfir L'Tzeni. And he's telling the person to go make that happen. Make that the world should be according to the Eibishter wants. That's not necessarily the pashto way of touching the musik of Allah. If you ask a regular yid, what's Allah? What's he going to answer? What's that's not what he's saying. A teacher telling a kid in the class to be quiet. So it's telling you what to do, or because he wants a silent class. And maybe don't do kafaka or do kafaka. It's not the ma'asim ba'alma. So that's what I was trying to bring out of here. Halacha is psak din chodesh migel davar mesim, and to get a certain object. Is every halacha is do something with something. Shadavar tzarchli is leifen zed afket. Chidush u'pu'ula shini ba'advarim shebelim shiri kfir asatei. The mele between zen that kol halacha. This is shinda imbik in them. We're going to see. I'm going to say it here, even though it's more, some pratim, more is getaish, behemshech advarim, it's negay over here also. It says, hanishetechem kol halacha u'kafel. First of all, pu'ula chiyuvis, shadvarim shebe'elam yiyu kfi din ha'teira. V'ridinan ha'adam sheyeda shesha matzirish. Halacha is, there's the me'ach ha'adam, let's say. The me'ach ha'adam without knowing that there's a lukus, that's not the way the Eibishter wants the me'ach to be. That me'ach is not behesim to ratzon. It's not according to the way he wants. A me'ach which knows that there's a lukus, that me'ach is the way the Eibishter wants the me'ach to be. A me'ach with the knowledge that there's an Eibishter. Then there is pula shlilis, shala yiyu ba'is even k'mei she'im mitzadatzim. Ha'adam kedem she's bein rabal ha'idiyah. You have to also do another act. You have to negate that aspect in the me'ach ha'adam that's without the idiyah Hashem. This we're asking before. What's the two pratim here? What's the tzvei pratim here? This pula chiyuv is to put it in the right form. That's an active thing. You're directing the me'ach. You're saying you're educating someone that he should have this and this idea. That's a pula chiyuv. Then you have to cancel other aspects that it has. What do you have to cancel? Which aspect do you have to be shayla? They have to negate. The adam shalai yiu visi isn't salatz. That's the derech hamed. The Me'ach didn't know about Holocaust. The minute you educate it, you know about the Idiyas Hashem, the Meilet, your Shaylo, that it's not Ba'if in the way it was before it knew. Now it knows. What's the Polish Luz? What's that from the Mavatasa? And it's not enough to educate Be'if in Chiyuvi, other Me'ach Zallen and Fashtein as Dan Eibishter. You have to be Shaylo, you have to negate that aspect in the Me'ach that K'mei Shem Mitzadatzim. But the Rebbe says in the extreme, the Rebbe says it is. What's the take on the Rebbe saying over here? That I'm going to read in the Einbegel. We'll see the Nekuda is mitzad the lukus l'mosh. There's a mitzvah. There's a nechash. The Eibusher is the nechash amalekah. The emes is that the Eibusher at alf b'shav. Now a person the seichel adam mitzad atzmei. So why is it that there shouldn't? What's the problem with yediyah? Mitzad l'kus. The truth is that the Eibusher alf b'shav, and there's no mitzias b'fanach. The Eibusher is mocher. He created everything. There is no other option. Like a person is born. Mitzad his mayach, he's not muchrich to know sheyesh a matzirish. The mayach is not a zasert zach, which is that chonase could only know yidiyas Hashem. The mayach could also know lav that can know that there's an Eibusher. The mayach could come to other maskanas too. Says even after the person reingetrafen is misbeil, he came to the maskana sheyesh a matzirish. It's bleibt doch, but it's still not mufrich. Mitzad the gather of his mayach is not mufrich that he should have the idea heipich matzirish. The Pa'amam she learned that he came to the recognition that there's an Eibusher. But mitzad the tchunas of his mayach, he could still know otherwise. He could still know beifan acher. Say, well, Marshall, a person putting on film with his left hand. Even after a person is putting on film with his left hand, but the yad is, it's not that the gather of the yad is, there's no aspect in the hand that he could be without film. It's a blight that the hand is a neutral thing. He could be with film, he could be without film. So that in order for the yad to be mitzad ratzon elyon, mitzad Hashem mitzad ratzon elyon, you could be with tefillin, you could be not without tefillin, and the person put on tefillin. Mitzad ratzon elyon, the whole nekuda of a yad is for the sake of putting on tefillin on it, let's say, or the whole emes of a me'ach is leida shesh matzirish. Kol zman, there's an aspect in the me'ach ha'adam which is able to be stable, which is able to handle a yidiyah, heipach yidiyas emes. So his me'ach is not the hesen to ratzon elyon. You heard the meaning?
You have Shiur with HaRambam?
We'll see later. When we reach then what's going to be the chiyuv? The word is that the chiyuv has to be to such an extent. The mayach, the Rebbe is saying it that the gather of Allah is, you say, apiseichu, telling someone do something. Why are you telling me to do something? Because the person wants the reality to be in a certain way. A person is coming to the room, he wants the room to be clean. You clean the room. He wants the room to be clean. Others, David is telling us, do this, do that. Why is he telling us, do this, do that? Because the world the way it is nicht zevi ervil, not behesem nurtzeh. He wants to, and what's the world? The way it is in Shadrat Snallian, the way Halacha says. So we have to go do it and make sure that the world should be behesem Shadrat Snallian. Shadrat Snallian, the fact that the Me'ach Davzan and Avek Sheyede Sheshem Matzirish is was der emes. In order for the Me'ach to be behesem to the emes, if the Me'ach is able to be stable or still has the aspect that it's not necessary, that's able to understand Heipach Holocaust. It can't verstehen nicht der Eibusher. So then that Me'ach is not behesem to the emes. Because mitzad the emes, nishtakin ad the the only truth is that yesh yesh matzirish. And what's the nekuda of Allah is not do this, do that. that the world should be behesem l'rtzein. That's the Nekuda of halacha. For was Dr. Reuven to Shimon go do kach v'kach? Because you want that the object should be the way Reuven wants. So Al doesn't negate halacha. What's the pshat? The Eibush is telling us do this, do that. Apisech, what's the gather of halacha? In order for the world to be behesem l'rtzein, behesem to the emes. So in order for the world to be, in order for the meach to be behesem to the emes, so Zayin Azam assert meach that heipach halakus is mufrech b'tachlis. It's kind of Zayin that he should be able to be to understand this svara of heipach halakus. That has to be mushlo. For that you need a Polish lulus. Because the Metzias ha'adam, the way it is in Sedatzmei, could understand the svara of heipach halakus. And then, even after you know the emes, your Metzias is not the hesed. That's not. This doesn't get to every single halacha like that. If you say that halacha is just do this or do that, so then the good, it's gone so long, it's done in shaykhs. But if the apiseh, when it says something to do something, is because you want that the object should be behesem l'rtzein, and the fact that the Eibush is telling us to do this or do that is because you want that the object should be behesem l'rtzein, then it has to be behesem l'rtzein, then it's mechayiv two pratim, sayip ula chiyuvas and sayip ula shluvas. It's a very strong lashon. The Rebbe touches this a little bit more mefurish later when you see this lashon. Pula shluvas shala yiyu ba'eisei even k'mei shehem etzadatz. Ha'adam kedem shizbeinu b'ala yidiyah. What are you being shayla? They shouldn't be the way they are neutrally. What are they neutrally? Not that he knows heipach halakus. He's not within the form of Yidiyas Hashem. He's a neutral meach. A neutral meich is a problem. A meich was ken verstehen. There's an option not to have Yidiyas halakus. That's heipach ratzonali. And that nekuda by knowing has to shmevatel. You have to mevatel the aspect in the meich that he could be without Yidiyas Hashem. That aspect you have to cancel. Or you have to be there's something to get the Shabbos. You have to cancel the aspect in the world that it could work on Shabbos. The nekuda that could be malacha on Shabbos, that has to be cancelled. So even if you don't do malacha, but you still didn't didn't cancel the tchuna in creation that it could work on Shabbos. So the world is not going to be hesem to ratzonali. Or if the fact that the yatzmel has to be with tefillin or the leiv has to be meshubed is in order for the leiv to be hesem to ratzonali, it has to be meshubed to the Eibishter. So you have to cancel that aspect in the leiv that it's not mechuyev to be in a tzir of shibud. Because if it's not mechayiv, it's together to be in a tzir of shibud, so it's not behesem to ratzonali. So the ratzonali a leiv dar zay meshubed to the Eibishter. Not just b'derech azeh. That's the metzias of the leiv to be meshubed to the Eibishter. That's the emes. So the metzias sheba elam has to reflect the truth. In order for the metzias to reflect the truth, you have to negate that aspect of the metzias that's not mechayiv to be in the form the way the Eibishter wants. Heilam shemei adavar hazeh. This is there on the Kuda Ikris. In Balzen. You see this over here. Let's just see order 21, because this brings the separate in the senior. So Gezamash Kosavar Rambam Sefer Chaschaneke Shekol HaTeira Nitn Las Shalom Ba'ilam. The ganze Teira is getting geworden to make Shalom Ba'ilam. The question is in Pashas Advarim, where's the try to say Shalom? There's a fight. When there's a fight, Shalom Shayat Akashish Gadash Machlekes. So the whole Teira is given. What if there's no fights? And saying the whole Teira is given to make should be peace in the world. There's certain places there's Machlekes. And saying what's the so the Rebbe is touching here. The etzem metzias of Welt is a machlekes on the Eibishter. Metzias ha'en l'kmeishim misadatzma, he betzuru kazush enem as ima leiras Hashem. Before there's sitra achra, before there's klippus, the Eibishter created a world. The world, the way it was created, is not according to the tzir the way the Eibishter wants. If it's not according to the tzir the way the Eibishter wants, then b'dakus, it's against what the Eibishter wants. That means that it could handle otherwise. If it's neutral, it's already not behesem to ratzonali. This is over here. So look in the Ulahar Shemash and Amish Kolten Nas Shloime Moch Shkam Inam Shmitz Say Hulas Shalom. Gam Behem Yesh Ein the Shlilas HaMachlekes Surah Nagedes. So there was more mefardet in the Pnim Sivazayin. But in the lashon here is saying it says Teichem Kol Halacha Ukof. Meher Teminim Beifim Klali. Let's go back to the Rebbe's lashon here at the beginning. This lashon is a little bit of a
Teichen Kol Halacha is referring to us to Sigufah.
No, this is a signal achar beisov. Everything what for us. Every single halacha.
Well, Pasha says only says.
No, that's it says later. It says Teichen Kol Halacha Ukov. What's Teichen Kol Halacha?
The heart is, you don't go to the end of the order of the heart. It's not the regular understanding.
Okay, but
Because from the fourth taka,
he's touching up the Rambam's Hilchas Chanukah that in the Kudah of Torah is that the world should be behesim tolibus. And from this Lashon Guf is also that also the Gabi Asay you have to see. He's not a station the Gabi. The word that the world mitzad atzmai, here is Rebbe speaking in the general thing that he says in the Pnim, that you're giving someone a mitzvah because you want the world to be a specific way. So the world the way it is not the way he wants it. Is not behesim to and therefore you want it to be differently. I mean, the room is a mess. You say clean it up. So that's you see because it is not shalom ba'el. But the elam mitzad atzmi without klippus, without menagdim, before anything, without people fighting, the world kameshu nitna las is shalom ba'el. That means the elam mitzad atzmi is already not what David wants. That's the general point that he brings up. He says it's also menubas in this lashon the kol that even in Yonim of Asay have a nekud of shlila because kol atayres for this aspect levatul machlekes. I'm saying, but wie versteht Menschen die Musik of Allah ist damals? What's the concept of Allah? Schar be'enish. That's a saying.
Or than in the Bible.
The teacher gives rules in order for the kids that behave should get a reward. The kids that misbehave should get a punishment.
Like, when you give a kid something to do, they don't actually get done.
Okay, that's v'chal not Rabbi Seichel. That's the stam. The Rebbe is touching Rabbi Seichel. The Musik of Allah is tuapes. Why was talking about tuapes? Because you want the object to be in a certain way. I'm really telling the person to do it. The Rebbe doesn't bring the kodesh for the Musik of Allah. This doesn't mean that he's only bringing this awesome Sefer Hayah. Another verse like this. V'ni kol Allah sheyeches rag b'im yesh b'sigin hayedua chefza. Do something with an object. A maise in a zach. That's what I was saying. It's not a maise ba'alm. Doing something, being mishana chayfetz. That's the Hadran of Allah. Taking an object, instead of being this way, being a different way. There's even when it comes to putting on tefillin on the hand. So the hand is the chayfetz. Every halacha, there's doing something with a certain object. Netilas lulav is the object, let's say, could even be your hand. That your hand should be in the mode of shaking the lulav. So every halacha is mechayiv a chayfetz. Doing a maisa in something, changing something. That's the Hadran of Allah. Not we look at halacha sometimes it's just doing stuff. That's not the right definition of halacha. It's changing an object. Yeah, chveis, the lashon here is. Yeah. So what the Rebbe means here is in the Rambam. In the Rambam, it's always halachas of Rambam are cheptzes. Hilchas kriya shema, hilchas tefillin. That's what the Rebbe means. I'm not sure what's the exact is that the Taz wrote a sefer. The Taz of Cheshivishvat is much more verstandig than the Taz in Yoredei. So the exact that the Taz wrote a sefer twice. First he wrote it b'shem lechi, but then he went over the second time that it should be masim mechuven to Kabbalah. So in Yoredei he went over the second time, masim to Kabbalah. First verstehen was gesagt. Mashik in Cheshivishvat he wrote it only the first time. So he didn't rewrite it. It should be behesim to say the satire, Mila is geringer zu verstehen, was sagt. So this the Rebbe adds, it's hard to schwer zu verstehen the meaning. Signen acher Allah machricha metzius chefza shalom. The Rebbe is saying it's even more. Because al derech like I say, when you get say Asay hat ihm gesagt, do this. It's not stam do this. There is halacha is how the object should be, how the object should be mitzad ratzonayim. There's the way the world should be mitzad ratzonayim. What was the hilchas tefillin? Let's say tefillin is a chefza shel halacha. What's tefillin? There's different dinim how to write tefillin. It's not a chefza in the welt. It's not ongerufen tefillin. The chefza of tefillin is a zach was vert. It's a the whole chefza is a chefza which is api halacha. If the dayan writes the klaf and the aces are all the way it is api din, vert yama the chefza of tefillin. So tefillin is not a chefza in welt. Tefillin is a chefza from halacha. The chatchila is a chefetz the way the Eibishter wants. That's what I'm saying. So every single object, every single musik in halacha is the way the mitzias is mitzad ratzonali. Do what I can say at the You say there's me'ach ha'adam. So we look at it, there's a me'ach of a person. Within the mizgaris of halacha, there's the chefetz of me'ach the way it is up halacha, mitzad halacha. The chefetz of me'ach mitzad halacha is a das which knows sheyesh a matzilish. So that mir machen should be there's no tefillin. There is the chefetz of tefillin, which is the chefetz which is mitzad ratzonali. There's this object of tefillin. We have to go make sure it happens. We have to make this object of tefillin. So there's the me'ach adam the way it is mitzad ratzonali, mitzad halacha, and the me'ach the way it is right now is not like that. The yid has to go do that. That the me'ach should be behesin to ratzonali. It should be a chefetz the way it is up halacha. What the Rebbe is saying later, is this word. Because there's the way the me'ach is up here, we'll see later in the Hemshech HaHadran, we'll see that it's mamish like tefillin. But dugma is like tefillin, there's not an object in this world. It's a teira dik chefze, it's a chefze shal teira, and the male it has to be, the whole gather tefillin is a halachic chefze. Of a ksar, which has kedusha, and all the prot tefillin. That's a halachic chefze. Every mitzias that halacha deals with, so before it's telling us what to do is in order to make that this mitzias should be a mitzias of Allah, a chefze shal Allah. And then besteht the say what the Hira Lemaisa is mizal machen that every mitzias which Allah is dealing with should be the way it is mitzad the mizgaris of Allah. I will see later. So the Amita Seidin is me'ach v'das ha'adam. It's a chefze shal Allah. It's not some object in this world. There is the way that das is the way it is mitzad ha'emes, mitzad ha'lukus. Mitzad ha'lukus, what's me'ach v'das ha'adam? A me'ach which has a diyas Hashem. That's the chefze shal halacha of the das ha'adam. Es ist nicht das. Darf man gehen machen, es soll sein, das. Ich bin push the word, das ist der Rebbe saying.
How do you see the shvila actually happen?
We'll see the prati advarm, that's what we'll get in the hemshech. I'm saying there's a bigger riches here. This is what the Rebbe saying, it's nachar halacha mechricha metzias chefze shalom. Every halacha is, wie es darf sein der Zach mitzad the gather of Allah. And really, it's a chefze shal Allah. The dugmas like tefillin is a halachic chefze. So yeder, it says, what's up here halacha the das ha'adam? So there's tamas a das ha'adam al pi mitziyas ha'adam. Then there's what's das ha'adam halachically. What's the gather of das ha'adam? So what's halachically a gather of das ha'adam? Means when is das ha'adam behessen to the Eibishter wants? The Eibishter's das. Das the way it's behessen to Ratzon a das which kol inyani is l'idiyas Hashem. That's the halachic hagdara azay the richtiker that's the gather of das the way it is up Allah.
Why is that a signature after? Isn't the first thing you can call off saying
no? That's
a kite in the tikkun and soon after.
Kol everything kol has that it means basically every halacha needs an object, but everything not just needs an object; it's a halachic object.
Is that before Masakin or after?
No, before. What is that? Everything a dugma. K'mei bilchas tefillin. So tefillin is a halachic concept, is a halachic object. And then a person has to go do it. You have to go make tefillin. You have to go do the tefillin. You have to go create them. The Rambam is saying later Shesha Matzilish. He's saying what's the halachic category of das adam? The halachic category of das adam is a me'ach which knows Shesha Matzilish. Now we have to go accomplish that. The das is not like that. You have to go accomplish it and make that the mitzias should be behesin to this chayfis the way it is up halacha.
So the regular way you would understand the first line is that mitzvah is only when it's a chefshet that you want you to pale on, no?
That's the first thing. That's the basic thing. That's the signal. What the Rebbe was being meisav is this word. Das steht schon weiter rechet. I think this is just before. I once saw this is just before. Kol halacha didn't tell it was the beginning of the sif. And the Rebbe added this whole hagdama with and then added the signal achar beisof. But what are we gaining from this line? That halacha is that the every mitzvah that halacha deals with is not just telling you do this or this mitzvah. It's what is the halachic definition of this mitzvah. So what is this mitzvah from the point of view of the Eibishter's Ratzon? And that's the true definition of this mitzvah.
In the Pasha's the second line, you could also learn very simple.
The what?
Allah machricha metzias chafshala. In other words, every halacha
Needs
is
chesed.
telling you that there's a metzias from a chafshala that's dealing with.
That's not the free. Every halacha has to be with an object. Where does it bring a dogma from? First of all, what they say about halacha mechrim metzias chefta shalom. What's metzias chefta shalom? So therefore, every halacha has been doing something with something in this world. That's what he says in the second kata. Einam not like Yaakov Teraviyada, which is no hiron ni sefes. But shaken here's a psak dim and to get to something. What are we adding with saying that halacha mechricha metzias chefta shalom? What does this word add? Its own, it's a unique chefta. Every halacha has to be doing something with something. Doing a ma'aser with an object. What's the... I'm saying tefillin happens to be that the tefillin is a chefta shalom. You have things which are not. I'm saying shchita. So there's a chefta, there's a behemoth, of course. So that's, you don't need to bring a dugma of tefillin for that.
When he says das, that's behemshich the first thing, or the signacha?
No, I think it's this whole thing. Also the signacha.
Because the das doesn't sound like that. It says,
Chem didn't do that. So chlias mitzias esech v'das adam.
that's it.
1 second. But what's the teichenship is it? V'az ba Allah that gavret so chlas is by chefza. So you're saying just a simple word. But the nekuda prim is, which that Rebbe's teaching gives in the hemshir, that the das should be behesin teratz na'ali.
Yeah, was calling the chefs before it's done.
Calling what a chefza? Ich verstehe, but you're right. The first line is halacha needs an object, and you have to do with the object. But in the brackets, the Rebbe is adding the teichen pnimi of what he's trying to bring out. Why does Allah have to have a chefza? Because there is the way the Eibusher wants. There's the reality the way He wants it to be. It's not just reality the way He wants it to be. That's the true definition of the reality from His point of view. But dugma is like tefillin. So in order for it's a chefza shel halacha, there is a yeder chefza ba'elam is api halacha. What's the definition of this? What's the definition of yad smel api halacha? A yad mit tefillin. What's the definition of me'ach adam api halacha? A me'ach which has a dias Hashem. This is it. Another shot. Why? I did that.
Are there any more functions? Just many mixes. What's in the yad? Many mixes besides your tongue.
Good, I'm just saying a dugma. It's like a trash. I don't know but there's another svar in the Indian. Oh, weiter. Besigden agoyin argachavi. This is what does it mean here? But it says yishpeil pu'ula v'nifal. So this. It's an itik stammer. They must think of Allah that is just maisim. Not that something should, not that there's a certain object to be this way or that way. Just actions. The Eibusher wants us to do this or to do that. So then there's only two gedarim. There's a pile and there's a pula. There's no nifa. Here, the nekuda is, why is the Eibusher telling you to do something? Because we want the world to be a certain way. We want a certain object. We want a certain teitzah. So yeah, there's the gavra of his daftan. There's was and daf uftan in the chefze. But they zuzukommen to them. There's an action which has to be done. If you can attach like a pichsidis, even if been olach the beitzin, so there's a ment daftan. It's not about a nifam. They've gone just uftan.
It's a minolach leitzin has a pedal or just a pull?
The person should do kafaka.
The pedal is just saying that a person has to do it, or it's saying that
a gavra which is doing.
It's able to. Is it more than that? The pedal?
No, pedal is that you're the one activating this change.
It's very technical.
If you need a change, no, what I'm saying is, the Agdara, what's the Agdara of a mitzvah? The Agdara of a mitzvah is just maisin, nicht uftan etwas. So the Agdara of poil, pu'ula, v'nifal is not massive in mitzvahs. There's a gavra, there's a I don't know how you're going to call it, they're saying it's a gather of a poil, which you're giving a certain job to do. You have to affect a certain change. So you're the one that has the ability to change, and everybody has the ability to change. You're an uman, which yachal l'shanis. There's the davar shetzarech li'ishtanis, and there's the pu'ula with what you change it. So that's the agdar of the Ragat Shaver, peil pu'ula v'nifal. This is it.
Why then is the chayva? Chayva should always be on the.
What does this word add? Huh?
It's very.
For what is that? What? If you this, then the chayva should always be.
That was going to bring later. The peil. That was going to bring later that in order to b'chtei to uftan the shinui, you say you're a uman affecting the shinui, so you have to have the yechedus l'shanis. and the thing has to be able to be mishtana, and the pu'ula has to be a davar which is going to be mishtana. So there's certain mitzvahs that in Yonam is giving the kayach to the pile, or madgish more the tchunas of the pile. Certain mitzvahs are madgish more the tchunas of the pu'ula, and certain mitzvahs are madgish more the tetzah. Every mitzvah is that's in pile, pu'ula, v'nifa. But they're saying certain in Yonim that Gosh is more on that aspect, on the person which is affecting the change. The fact that you're a changer. Certain mitzvahs are madgish the chayfetz being mishtana, means the matara, and certain mitzvahs are madgish the pu'ula. The pu'ula sashin. We'll see that. I'm saying that I was going to say a whole hadran. There's a big arichas in that.
This line.
I'm saying, but that was going to be masber later. But Prati said, well, it was masber later that there's the whole part of the say this is in order for the pile to be his after sign, to have the yechedes l'shanis. There's a whole arichas there. I'm saying it's not so posh. They were saying there's the general concept of what Allah is, and then for that you're giving a different mashmos to the person. You're saying we're not speaking a room being organized. You're not changing anything. Room is this way, that way. You're not here. The world the way it is not behesen to ratzna. It's one type of chefza. You have to change it to a different chefza. A guy can't change it. He doesn't have the yechedes l'shanis. He's not a pile. A yid is a pile, and a yid he can do the pu'ula. I'm saying we're looking at it. It's not that you take the screw and they go into the wall. You need a pile, the pu'ula, and the nifa. It means you need someone with kenton. You need a chefz of halacha, pu'ula of halacha, and only then you can have the shinu. It's vertish mizachalim. It's all you need a kayach halaki to affect these things. There is masber later, and this kayach halaki is invested in the pile, in his pu'ula and his nifa. So certain mitzvahs, certain nekudas halacha are madgish. Every nekudah that ever speaks about here is every halacha is kayel then. But then there is how certain mitzvahs are madgish one nekudah, certain mitzvahs are madgish another nekudah.
What are the dogmas?
What do you mean of payal pu'ula v'nifa?
Dogma for all those mitzvahs.
Payal pu'ula v'nifa.
Which mitzvahs have?
I'm saying there's a famous that I was supposed to get to middle of three things. You get to. Well, I don't understand. I don't get what you're saying.
He's saying that each mitzvah certain mitzvahs are more in the pile, more.
Right. Every mitzvah has these three prat, but certain mitzvahs are madgish more payal. The Rosh Hashanah isn't standing there. We think there's welcome mitzvah. No, that's in Sach Payal pu'ula v'nifa. Certain mitzvahs the ikrat gashasam is the payal. Connection is the prat. What's the dogma of
Shabbos is in the person or in Zman?
So much of that could be maybe that the ikrat malach. That's what he's saying on even shlili. But the pile, in order for the pile to be pile, he has to be in a certain mode. I don't know if look at the table, I remember the brother, I was machalik between if the mitzvah, certain things the mitzvah is that there should be the binyan, or certain mitzvah is that's a mitzvah sabinyan. So that you can say is pu'ula, where together a pile. I remember not the... That's ended. You get the point, yeah? What you're asking now is a zatika point, really. It's not a yesed.
So later, Chelgav explains that line plays in.
I'm not saying. We're saying from what the Rebbe explains later, we'll understand what's the pshat at certain why. Every prat the Rebbe says here is the way it is in every single mitzvah, and then there is mitzvahs which you see are mavlit a certain chone in mitzvahs. The pile, there's three separate prat. There's the pile, the pu'ula, and the nifa, which every mitzvah has these three prat. But al derech, like the Rebbe says, you get the chiyav and shlila. Every mitzvah has a chiyav and shlila. The pile, there is one category that's mavlit the nekudas achiyah, which is mitzvah sasi. Another category that's mavlit the nekudas shlila, which is mitzvah sasi. So al derech, you get the pile, pu'ula, and the nifa.